website.
Nice and loud.
Very different.
So sorry, what's your team name? Your Spicy Moustache.
Yeah.
Spicy Pasta and Moustache, which is an excellent team name. Sorry, go on.
Okay, so the first one is this website. The first impression is about a beautiful picture with a kind of catchphrase. But we can, the first time we can't really understand what is the service they can offer.
Mm-hmm.
You can go at the bottom to see a different kind of work, or you can just click here and you have like the main page with work, the service, and so in each work you have you can click here and you have the precise description with goals and solutions, results.
Still don't know what they do.
And all the service they bring to the client. You have social media to share the work and to comment. You can click here and you return on the first page. You have many information. It's a bit confused because we can't really understand what is it, but it's a graphic agency, graphic design.
Right.
Here you can, on each page you can get their newsletter, and yeah, they are on each page they are promoting themselves about the fact this is a big agency located around the world.
So do we think that's just clicking between a kind of mobile view and web view, or is it just a kind of picture-heavy view?
What?
When you go into the burger menu, is
Yeah.
that flipping between mobile view and
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
Also is yes, here you can have all the contact of each agency, and if you click here, no, it's not here, but okay. Also, you can. It's like a kind of responsive design because you can adapt the screen, the interface. How do we say?
Well, it's well designed because there are some breakpoints at every resolution. You see here.
Okay.
This is the tablet mode. This is the phone mode.
Oh.
So it's well designed. This is the view of the phone. So everything is designed as mobile first, and after as web.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the second site is this. The motive of the site is basically not to be beautiful, it's just being simple. And it has a 3-click strategy. You can simply see the projects, their work, everything is very simple in here. But wherever they are using images, they are using a lot of images at that point and not using any text to support the images. But the place where they are using text, like biography, that you can hardly see any images and that's just text. So it's a bit boring to see the site.
It's a bit disconnected, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that they are not earning from this website, but if they are, then I don't think that they're earning well. And if I compare the site that we saw before, it has a lot of beautiful images, beautiful layout, but this doesn't have that much. It's very simple and clearly defines that this is a site of a product designer and an interior designer, like the things that you see in here. But you can hardly see any social media links in this. They have their contacts, but I don't think that they're working well with the social media, so they don't have any links.
I think they've made a really clear decision to keep everything very low tech and simple.
Yeah.
And then the question is, you know, do you sacrifice functionality for aesthetic? It's a really interesting choice. The two that you've picked work really well together, so well done. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
They don't have much on their side to explain.
Yeah. Let's get the comparison. Well, the first impression is very different between the two websites. The first one has good image and good layout, but we can understand really well what this is about. The second one is more direct. It's more direct. You can see what they are doing. They are interior designer. You can see from the first impression. The home page are really different. The first one, as I said, is designed for mobile website, so we can see that everything is split into shapes to adapt to the mobile one, to the mobile website. The second one is a long page. If we open everything, it's very, 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 very long page, and it's focused on their work. For example, also the idea to put the project with every years is because they have no importance than this agency, so they have to show their experience, their years work. I think it's a strategy to show their ability to work every year.
Or to make every single thing they've ever done accessible.
Yeah.
And actually that doesn't show a lot of curation. You know, it's sort of like everything we've ever done needs to be on the website, and actually maybe it does, but there's ways of tucking some of it behind a wall, or I think it's also, if you scroll back up so we can see that, so when you see the whole page out, what's really interesting is that would work as a piece of print. And I think a lot of if you're looking at graphic design agencies and graphic designers, quite often their websites, the scroll page works like an infographic, which is, it's like intertextual, it's really clever, but it sometimes makes the website less functional.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can sort of make a judgment about a website based on how it looks in one context and not realize that it actually works across a couple of different media. It's called remediation, but the idea that you can change the media and still have a product that advertises is really quite clever. And it's the kind of thing that graphic designers would get a lot of industry kudos for. You know, it's the kind of thing that wins awards. Yeah.
And for example, you can understand anything about this agency from the homepage instead of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well designed, it's very good layout, but there is no meaning inside. It's just aesthetic.
It's a catalogue.
Yeah. Work. Also, the way to show work is different. As I said, we have just image on this, just a quick presentation like save the food, but we don't know what's the word. Yeah, maybe strawberry. I don't know.
There's nothing you can click on that image to get.
Oh yeah, I have this. I have the presentation.
No, but in the website you.
Oh yeah, you can click.
Yeah.
But it's, as first impression, I'm not interested in it.
Yeah.
There is nothing that I can be curious for. It's just strawberry and packaging. Yeah, I don't know. It's anonymous.
Yeah.
And this is the other strategy, show image, because I think they are more visual than this, because the agency is structured as designer, marketing, a lot of people working together, and this is more visual. It's just the way to show their works.
Anybody have any kind of insight into that? Why do we think the second company, the furniture design company, has taken the strategy that they have? Why is their work presented in such a different way? Any ideas? What are they making? What is the furniture design company presenting there? They're presenting real solid objects. What's the graphic design company selling? It's very aspirational. They're selling ideas. They're selling kind of visual concepts. So the vocational language is different because the craft is different. And again, that's a point that I would really want to drive home when you're starting to put some of your own artwork up there, is to recognize the terms and conditions of your craft and kind of don't go against them. If you're a graphic designer, present your work using the terms and conditions that are recognized for graphic designers. Be innovative and be inspirational and be original, but don't suddenly kind of reject how every other graphic designer presents their work, because actually this isn't about you representing your thoughts and your emotions. This is about you representing yourself as a creative practitioner. So you have to be professional to a point. And there is a balancing point, isn't there, where you can then let your own aesthetic shine through. I really like the design of the second one. Anybody else have a comment to make on the design of the two websites? Or any comment at all?
I have a question.
Or sorry, were you finished presenting?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I jumped in. I can't help myself. I just get excited when I jump in.
For example, this
Hold
is
that
a
question.
presentation of the product. Here there is a lot of words, less image than here.
Yeah.
It's just image in the second website.
I think, go back up again. I think that's useful for everyone just to have a look. It's a really different strategy.
Yeah.
And again, rather than judging it, think about why maybe they didn't feel they needed to add a lot of image on the right-hand side. A lot of text on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they are also explaining the process of is all the process for all the work. And yes, here is the responsive design, web design, that we talked later. This is the view on mobile of the first website. This is the second one. So a lot of people now are looking for website in their mobile phone, and it's very important. And here we can navigate on the phone really well instead of the first. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. I believe you have a question.
Yes. What do you think about the blank space on the second side? I mean, on the side there is a blank space. Do you think it's
Here?
Do you think it's useful? Do you think, I don't know.
Well, it's not blank space, because if you is the way to present the works. Yeah, there is some space here, and in the home page you can see that, because it seems like blank space. But
So click on that image for us. Any of the images.
yeah,
It's a nice strategy,
Yeah.
actually. I hadn't picked that up the first time around either, so it's a really good question. But to have a sort of transparency, so we can see that image, but we see how it's still kind of not going past the 3-click rule, because we're still on the same page. It's quite clever. It's subtle as well, which is nice.
yeah, it's a website structure in one page.
Yeah, which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is no footer, no header. I think maybe that.
What do we think about that particular strategy or that particular website? Do we hate it?
I think it's clever, but the first time I saw this website, I was like, "Oh, that's badly designed," because they somehow have this blank space that isn't supposed to be there. But of course, it is supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But that was my initial
Yeah.
thought.
Do you want to tell these people they can come in, just because we're finished the presentation, aren't we? Are you done with the presentation bit? We can
Yeah,
ask.
yeah.
Okay, round of applause for the presentation. Woohoo! Right now, well, let's stay where you are, because I think we still have a couple of questions. Well done. I think you picked really good examples. I think it's really interesting because they are totally different, but you guys are a really good example of how different craft and different artists see things. So it's not that one is good and one is bad. They're just two vastly different audiences. They're vastly different objectives on those sites. I think you put your presentation together really nicely as well. Well done. The comment that I would make, I just like the fact that you know you're able to say responsive design, like you all know exactly what that means, and that's I wouldn't have known. I would have said, and you can click and drag and it changes shape, and I wouldn't have said responsive design. So I think again these terms are good to take note of yourself. Check to see, maybe even if you presented last week, you can go back and see, oh, is that what ours does? Go back and check if there's a header and a footer from the previous group. I like the fact that you're using words like interface. You're using that vocational language, and you really describe the architecture of the site, which is it's difficult because it's so easy as artists to just talk about the lovely work. But I think you got the balance right. Does anybody have any? What's your thoughts on the first website? Just initial thoughts, having been shown how it works. Do you want to open it up there?
Yeah.
So just scroll, just click around it. What's your kind of initial response?
I think at first it seems really very easy because you have the space and it's very calming. When you start scrolling, it gets more and more consuming, like other social medias.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How do you think they're trying to direct you to navigate that site? Just looking at it, go back to the home page again. It looks like you just want to
It's a lot. Click everywhere.
just flick through. It's not it's not a mouse and a keyboard. It's, as you said, it's designed primarily for device.
Yeah.
So the idea is they're thinking about people are probably going to scroll initially as a kind of like you'd flick through a magazine.
Yeah,
But-
that way.
Yeah. So it's not just that it's laid out well, it's designed for
For
fingertip kind of use, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah, the structure is influenced by the idea to have a mobile website.
yeah.
It's sometimes.
Any other comments? Come on, guys. Somebody who hasn't commented, have an opinion. It's really good fun.
So in terms of this website, do you think it can be improved? And if yes, what can be improved?
That's an excellent question.
Well, I think from the perspective of graphic design, it's web design. It's web design as aesthetic, but it's web design has structure because there is a best structure. I think there is a best structure. For example, have an hamburger menu here is quite. It's not a good idea because for example a old person at the whole
Like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to find it because it's on the wrong side.
There is a possibility that some person doesn't know what this is, and this is fundamental to go and and
Change
see
it
the
over,
different
yeah.
section, and it's a nice strategy for the design of the mobile. But when it's a desktop website, it's very difficult to understand for an old person or someone who doesn't know that this is a navigation menu. Yeah, and also the homepage is structured as a magazine.
It's more like interactive design. It's like an experience to offer
Yeah.
viewers because they are very famous, so they can do that.
But I think that's a really good point. They're very famous, so they're
Yeah.
probably assuming their audience are all quite. It's not. I think it's dangerous to say old and young because look at how old I am and look how technically amazing I am. But I think it's about whether you're confident and whether you're experienced with this kind of high-end design. And presumably, if you're looking to hire a graphic design company, you don't really engage in design very much. So if you need a kind of instructions on how to use a site, then you have to rethink the site. What do you think on that question? Do you think there's anything that could be redesigned?
On the first side, I think that rather than making it more beautiful, they would have made it more functional.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think that's the only point.
I think that's it's kind of lessons learned for you guys as well. That less is more sometimes. Or yes, fantastic things that scroll and whistle and bleep and chirp, fantastic. But you've always got to offset and balance that against the usability and the aim of the website. Brilliant. Well done, everybody. That's fantastic. Woo! Okay. Okay, so we've got Maddie and Amber. Do you need anything, or are you?